to go from 17% body fat to looking like a shredded gorilla in 13 weeks. We're going to leave no secrets out. I'm going to tell you exactly how we got the result and how you can too. If you're new to the channel, by the way, welcome. My name is Tom Sergey. I run the Gorilla Platoon, which is an online physique transformation program where we get results like this each and every week for our guys, and then we just speak about them online so you can take from it what you like and then apply it into your own life. So let's waste no time and get straight into it. What we're going to cover in today's lecture in discussing how we got this result is we're going to teach you how we find your start point and then set you up with the protocol in terms of what nutrition, how much, what training split, what cardio, what output you're doing, so you can get started. We will then speak about, as you're going through, when and how you're going to make changes to your plan, because ultimately your metabolism, your body will respond to whatever you put it on, and you will always need to adapt it to keep moving it forward. I'm then going to give you the insight into the Gorilla Platoon protocol, and why I call it that is that's how we get results like this. Like, let's be honest, you've watched millions of videos on YouTube on how to get a fucking six-pack, but the reason we're able to consistently churn out results of this caliber is really our ability to get people to follow the protocol. The protocol, by the way, is a separate entity outside of, because you could call this the protocol, but this is the plan, and then this is the protocol. We'll go into that anyway. I'm then going to teach you as well, how do you get the pumped, veiny look, which is this. How does he look so full, and why are his veins looking like ropes? I'm going to teach you how to do that, and then speak about he's hit the goal, what's next. So let's roll straight into his start point. So when you very first start out your transformation, you're going to take photos front, side and back, and make sure it's in clear light so you can see what you're doing. You then want to establish your body fat percentage. The best way to do this is through photos. So if you even just Google like body fat percentage photos, there's like a graph online that will give you percentages. Go and take your picture and compare it to that graph. It's never going to be bang on 15, 20 or a whole number. It's going to more than likely be somewhere in between. Obviously, I've seen many human torsos and I can establish body fat fairly consistently now, having done this for over like nearly 18 months. I started him off at 17% and he weighed in at 82 kilograms. Now, let me show you how I establish someone's body fat to start off with. So the first thing we do is we'll go starting body weight 82, starting body fat percentage 17. This now gives him a lean mass of 68 kilograms, and we know we need to get him to 10%, maybe a little bit leaner, but rule of average 10%. So this is going to take him to around 75, which, spoiler alert, that was his end weight as well. Then we use the Catch-McCarday formula to work out the rest. So this means his resting metabolic rate is 1840. He has an average level of activity where he trained 3 to 5 days per week prior. So we take these two figures and times them together. It gives him a maintenance of 2,852. And we're going to go into a fairly aggressive deficit of around 450, which meant we started him on 2,400 calories. Protein is at 2.4 times this figure here. So lean mass times 2.4 gives it your lean mass that requires the protein. That had him on 163. Fats are set to 20% of this, and nice and high to begin with, 53. And then the rest is filled with carbohydrates. So that's how we started off his initial point. We started with 10k steps and 20 minutes cardio, although you will very soon see that due to his side hobbies and his running that he does on the side, his cardio is actually very high to begin with, and so is his overall output. We obviously need to set the end point and the goal and what that is we're looking to achieve. So with this, he needed to drop about 7 kilograms. This took 13 weeks. You could do it quicker. You could do it in about 10, but ultimately you're going to adjust relative to the how the body responds. Could we have done it quicker? Yeah, probably, but there was no real rush on it in terms of you didn't have a holiday in 10 weeks. So we essentially took our time with it, adjusted as we went through, and 13 weeks was just the week we landed on. We could have finished it at 12, but I thought, you know what, there's a little bit more to dig here, and I'll always aim to get the best result possible, and if it means an extra week is needed, then it means an extra week is needed. So the goal here was crispy abs, hold on to all muscle, and really prime him for a growing phase. And this is what your recomp phase is here to do. It's here to take you from looking like this, out of condition, soft, high-ish body fat, to lean, crispy, pumped, ready to take on a very, very long gaining phase. And that's the main aim of your recomp phase in your phase 1. So from there, we're going to speak about how we made changes. So the first thing I'll tell you to do is to track all of your data. all of your data. Your scale weight's very important, but you want to look at your photos. So if we now go on to how we made changes for him, we can go on to his plan here. So we started him on, as I spoke about, 10k steps, but he ended up doing very high steps and very high cardio, 20 minutes of cardio daily, but actually he was knocking out more like 47 because of his running that he was doing throughout the week. So really you could say we started him on 40 minutes cardio at least. Steps I do believe were part of his cardio. I always say 10k steps and then on top of that goes your cardio. Just a quick one on what we did for his training before I come on to like how we made changes. For his training session, we were running a 4-day split so we could still run with his running. Now, what this looks like on a 4-day split is full body push, full body pull, rest, repeat the 2 sessions, then have 2 rest days in between. So you've got pec deck, incline dumbbell press, leg press, so just one leg exercise. And you can get a lot of stimulation from a leg press. You're getting good quality challenge on the quads and the glutes, and we run it for 3 sets as well. Very loadable, will accumulate a bit of fatigue, but not too much, and that's why you're going to do that twice per week, 6 sets, enough to keep them strong, but not enough to really add so much fatigue that it impacted his running as well. Shoulder press, lateral raises, tricep push down, tricep extension from the overhead position. Pull day, single arm pull down, dual dumbbell row. We actually moved to a T-bar chest supported, lying hamstring curl, lat pull down, preacher curl, ab crunch, and incline dumbbell bicep curl. So just for context, that was the training split we followed. And just for context as well, let me tell you about the meal plan we followed as well, of which it's going to be a little bit skewed because he's now in a reverse phase. So obviously we've reversed out from his lowest calories to here now after the first week. But just to give you a flavour of what the way he liked to do it, he liked to fast throughout the morning for a fair bit of time. So his first meal was a chicken, rice and veg meal. He had a pre-workout meal of dates, apples, banana, so high digestion, but also not too processed as well. Like that's all natural stuff really. His meal 3, we were running with again another replica, so he could prep because he was a busy individual. He didn't want faffing around with different meals, so he could duplicate his meals and prep. And then meal 4 before bed, a bit more of a fattier, slower digesting meal with the eggs in there as well. So just for context of what he ate. In terms of what did he do for cardio, well, he did do a lot of the running himself. That said, to make up the minutes outside of that, what I did for him was he would do elliptical to keep the impact off his legs as well. And that's something I'll tell you to do. I always set my guys, and I personally, right in the depths of a cut myself, I'll always run with elliptical. I find that to be the best one, or the incline treadmill walk. At either end of your transition, by the way, if you can start on a bike and you'll still keep your heart rate 120 to 130, which is the rate of intensity you want it at for dropping body fat. That said, as you go through the transformation, you get fitter, because you will, because be surprised how quick you can get cardio fit, and you get lighter. You will then be also to see, you'll need to use the Stairmaster because it will allow you to get your heart rate up quicker. Now, let's go into how we made changes. So we can see from his protocol here, we started off, first 2 weeks, we kept food fairly high, 2-4. We also then went from 20 minutes cardio to 30 minutes to 35. 35 we held for a good period of time. But you can see consistently he's hitting 50, 50, 40, 40, 40, 50, 50, 40. So his cardio always stayed high. So because his cardio always stayed high, and I'll always be the first to tell you, push your cardio high and keep your food where it is, because you want to become an athlete, and so did this guy. But ultimately, as his cardio was pretty high consistently, when we started to see scale weight slow down, which we did around here, you're going to need to take from the food. So we went 2-4, 2-4, down to 2-250, so a little 150 drop off there. Down to 2-2-2, held that, another drop off of 100 calories at week 7, held that for a very long period of time, up until we went into the last few weeks here, held that, and then one more drop off there. But as you can see here, towards the back end, I was really rinsing him on his cardio. So I prescribed 30s, 40s, and then we went into the 60s, 70s, 70s, 70. Steps always stayed 10K, but he actually did more because he just went above and beyond, which was good from his perspective. So the message with this is, and when you go through it yourself, track all data, because ultimately you're going to need to see what the scale weight's doing to make certain change. But when it comes to making that change, and if you are starting at 17%, you've not got a massive amount to drop off, which is great. So you can get a bit more aggressive with your drops because you're not going to be doing this for longer. If someone comes to me at like 27% body fat as opposed to 17, I'm going to be a lot more like selective with when I make a change to rinse out the plan for as long as possible. With this, you can be a bit more aggressive. But I then will take from food first, more than likely, and then I'll push your output up first to keep your food high. Then I'll take from your fats closer as we get towards the end, so I can keep your carbs high, so you can keep training in the gym to a solid level at a good standard when you're doing that. So we then pushed through this phase here, and what I will show you actually is just why it's so important to take photos. So the difference between these two photos was around about 0.5 of a kilogram. But if we look at around the layer here, I'm going to be honest. Granted, they're slightly different lighting, so I'm trying to be like as conservative as possible. But you can see there's a little bit more detail around here that sharpened up quite well across the photo. So the point I make here is take photos because they're going to give you a lot more information than the scale always will. You'll lose your mind if you just focus on the scale weight consistently. You really, really will. So take your photos weekly and always compare your photos, because especially towards the back end of the transformation, your mind will play tricks on you. If you're only looking in the mirror, you look completely different in the morning as you do to the evening, as you do to the middle of the day, as you do to if you've done a hard session or like a meal didn't sit well. Take the photos, one consistent point every week. So you'll do a check-in with yourself, if you will. So that's how we made the changes and got down towards the goal. The next thing I want to speak about is how we actually really get the results that we do. And this is the Gorilla Platoon protocol. And what made me actually want to drop this in is I normally speak about mindset in all our videos because that's how we actually get the results we do. But he sent me a quite a nice message yesterday after we completed the transformation midway through last week. And I won't share it because it's personal, and like, you know, if you ever join the Gorilla Platoon and we work together tightly, like, you'll share personal information with me. So I don't disclose that on YouTube. But it was a personal message and it was nice. But the points in there is kind of what I can talk about from this. So what I get my guys to do is I will get them to do the 2.0 version of them. So essentially this was a lecture I created and a document that they will do. Now, why do I get them to do this? Well, where you have got to right now is a reflection of your habits, your thoughts, and how you see yourself and your self-image. So you right now are trying to get the six-pack. You will struggle quite dearly because you'll always have this constant pull to just snap back to who you are, because that's your identity. It's comfortable. It's the confirmation from others you've got and the feedback on that identity. So you right now trying to get in shape, there's always going to be this pull, like you're going to have this like elastic band that wants to snap you back. What we want to do is force you to snap forward into the new version of you. So whenever you're going to start a phase like this, because it's going to be challenging, it's going to be tough, and you're going to physically change your appearance. Like, it's not plastic surgery, but you're physically going to change how you look in the mirror. So what I want you to do is think of the new character you want to become. Think of like, how does he look? How does he think and feel? But I'll go through the document in detail and almost like give you part of the lecture that I give to them. So you are like where you are right now, and that's not the version of you that's going to carry towards the 2.0 version of you. So we want to create that. When I say develop the 2.0 version of you, that's a physical like appearance character, a physical character. That's how much muscle do you have? What's your hairstyle? What's your clothing? I know you on the channel love my hairstyle there, which is nice. I just recreated my 2.0 version and like part clean shaved the sides. Like smells, what's your body language? And then obviously, so that's the physical, which you'll have a picture of. And then you've got the mental. So that's how well you deal with stress, setbacks, rejection, winning and losing. So that's going to also develop your character. Your character is, oh, fucking hell, he's got a good character. He's able to like keep pushing through this. Now, the very big first step to create your character, you may think, what for? And in a movie, always look at it like the movie character starts out at like, there's a challenge, there's a struggle that he's got to go through, and then throughout the movie you see him grow, and then he gets the thing at the end. This is kind of what your life is then going to look like. So when I went through my own life, there was always light and then struggle, light and then struggle, light and then struggle. So the meaning of this is like you need to go through the hard times. So I went through like this is back in the army. I went through the like Royal Army Physical Training Corps selection and process to become like a specific army trainer from being a paratrooper. And this was throughout COVID when you couldn't travel. So then at the end, you could travel and there was light at the end of the tunnel. This was me in Croatia. Nice. From there, I left the army, moved to Dubai, started being a personal trainer. Challenge for a year. It was like a hard struggle. And this is where I really learnt the skills that I have now of body recomposition. Then I had an opportunity come up in the Middle East to go and do like train the military there. And this is that. Then I moved to Mexico and went all in on the guerrilla platoon, and ultimately that worked out really nice. And here's me like enjoying the fruits of the labour. What we must understand is who you are now, and what does your character need to evolve to get there. Your mission, your purpose that you're on. So your action step first, write out your current mission. Your second action step, write out the character traits you need to achieve to achieve the goal. Take the ones needed from the images above. For getting in shape, the best shape of your life, so you've got discipline. What would your character do to be disciplined? Will he wake up at a certain time? He'd eat certain foods, he'd say no to certain things. Stand by his own word. Do what you say you're going to do, because the reason you're not in shape is because you don't trust you're going to get yourself in shape, because you've got no integrity, because you broke it that many times. So stand by your own word from this point forward. You will not change your character. Say no to people and be okay with the discomfort. That's going to happen, so get ready for it. Arrogance and self-love. I want you to look in the mirror and genuinely believe you are the best thing since sliced bread, because if you do that, you're going to start to love yourself and life is going to become significantly better, and more than likely you're going to achieve it. If you believe you're great and you're going to achieve it, you will achieve it. Because whether you think you can or you can't, you're fucking right, I can tell you now. Consistency. So no, this is an infinite game. Yeah, you're going to do phase one, but then after that, you are essentially like, you're not going to stop doing this. Your next phase. Obviously the stakes are different, but this is an infinite game. You're never going to quit. And then from there, resilience. So this is going to be tough. The scale's not always going to move every week, and you're going to need to smile in the face of adversity and keep pushing forward. There's going to be times where you're walking around high steps, low food, and you're absolutely ravenous. You're going to need to put that smile on your face and go and do it anyway. Think of like what affirmations he would say to himself in the mirror. You can write those out. Then I also want you to think of what a typical day in the life would look like for him, and structure that out in a very, very autistic, like at this time he'll do this, at this time he'll do that, at this time he'll do that. And that's what I'll give you so far to the document. I won't go into it in a deep dive, because honestly I don't want to like, you can part see I'm as I'm giving you this, it's kind of a rush through. Like we'd be here for a solid 2.5 hours in this video if I was to deep dive through this, and that's more of an insight what you get inside the Guerrilla Platoon. So I wanted to like give you like the basics, because what I've said there, you do that, it will absolutely work. But I don't want to like, I'll lose you in this video now if I go really, really deep on it, because it wasn't the purpose of the video. So off the back of that, we then achieved the look for him. 75 kg, 9-10% body fat, visible clean cut abs. How do you get this hard and full look? We ran a high carb day. So the way we did this for him is took his scale weight, 75 minus 10%. That gave us a figure. Take that figure, times it by 8. You can go 8 to 12. I always go on the lower end when it's the first time doing it. And that will give you a number, a 3-digit number. That's the amount of grams you're going to eat for the carbs for that day. When it comes to eating those carbs, and I've made videos on high carb days in the past in more detail, but essentially you're going to pull your protein down in half, and you're going to make sure those carbs are like higher GI. So your rices, your cereals, your breads, nothing that's too fibrous and not too much fat in there, because we don't want it to slow digestion. We just want it to go in to get a clean, nice pump. 6 grams of pink salt, 4 to 5 litres of water, and you're going to go in and you're going to do a nice pump session for that. So the question is then, what is next for this individual now that we've achieved his first phase? Well, from here, when you get the 6-pack, you need to be able to hold on to it. So you're going to reverse out, slowly increasing food from where we got down to at 1960 up to 2,500. Scale weight's going to hover in between these 2 points. And then you're going to go into a long gas improvement phase. So for him, we want to take him 77 to 90, rate of gain 0.4 per week. That's about 12.8 kilograms across 33 weeks. And his target areas are his lats, traps, and his legs, with his chest and his bicep, as you can see, being his real strong point. So that's essentially how we achieved the result for him. We took him from 17% down to looking like a machine, and he's primed and ready for the next phase, due to the Guerrilla Platoon protocol. So if you want to come join us inside the Guerrilla Platoon, there'll be a link in the description. Click through. If you want to chat to me further about it, you can message me on Instagram and we can talk there as well. But yeah, that is everything on how you can essentially change your physique. If you found this video valuable, of course, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you tomorrow.